And it's just about evolving what you've learned into the job you want now, your dream job.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Live Your Mission Show, brought to you by Mission Meets, where our guests share their most actionable advice so that you can live a more mission-centered life. I'm your host, Peter Alwood, and today we are joined by the founder of Love Is Project, Chrissie Lam from Love Is Project. That's loveisproject.co. She has these awesome love bracelets that are made by artisans, 1,600 of them, in 10 different countries around the world. And she talks about how she had 12 years working in corporate fashion and decided she wanted to go in a different direction and left that, traveled the world, worked with a group in Kenya to make the very first love bracelet. And it's incredible to me because she used one bracelet while traveling around the world. And that one bracelet was worn by hundreds of people. She took pictures with them, told their story about what love meant to them, and that's how she launched the business with one bracelet. Then she gets a PO from a corporate client, and that launched the business. And now she's got 1,600 people that are being supported by this business, by this project. Just put out a book called The Greatest Love Story Ever Told. Check that out. And that just came out in February. It's a beautiful book. And I just love how not only is it's just such a multifaceted business. One, she's been able to impact and employ people. And you'll hear too kind of how coronavirus has affected that business and how it's created, I don't know if you want to call it spinoffs, but other aspects of the business that she never ever anticipated that are very positive and amazing. And so listen for that. But how this is feeding her passion and something that she wanted to do. It's also feeding 1,600 people, right? Literally. And and supporting them. It's also allowing people to tell their story about what love means to them, and is adding that kind of purpose and thoughtfulness to their life. There's just like it's a triple win there. Maybe it's a quadruple win. I don't know. But it's such an amazing, just an amazing story. And so listen for that. Listen for kind of how she got started, how the idea was sparked, and what it's morphed into, and what's next for them. So without any further ado, I bring to you my fun conversation with Chrissie Lam. Thank you very much. Chrissie, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Great.
Peter.
It's good. And I'm wearing my bracelet. I've got my book
Yay.
here, right? This thing is awesome. I mean, it's like really, really well done.
Amazing.
And you guys this just got published like in February, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, dope. Yeah, this is very, very cool. So I'm excited to have you on the show. Shout out to Mike Del Ponte for the introduction.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Big thanks to Mike. So we'll jump right in. When somebody asks you what you do, what do you say? And is that your current mission, or is it something different?
Yeah, so I spread love around the world. So my company is the Love Is Project. So we work with 1,600 artisans, mainly female artisans in 10 different countries, creating different iterations of love bracelets. The idea is to create jobs for women and in turn helping their communities. And then our supporters post what love means around the world with the love bracelets. And each bracelet's inspired by the culture and the resources and heritage of each place. And so then it's the whole idea is be a part of the greatest love story ever told. And it's a pay it forward concept.
I love it. And what countries are these coming from right now?
We started in Kenya. And then with the Maasai tribe, and we've expanded our groups out there to about 800 women and growing even more. And also Indonesia, in Bali and Java, and also Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, Bhutan, Vietnam, India, Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah, so 10 right now.
That is crazy. So give us some backstory here. Like, why the bracelet? How did this even happen? Why love specifically that you're focusing on? Give us some info there.
Yeah, so a little bit of background on myself. I used to work in the fashion industry in New York City doing concept design for Abercrombie and American Eagle Outfitters. Did that for about 12 years. And then I was interested more in international development and how to leverage my skills and my background to have more impact. And so I left corporate about almost 8 years ago, was living in Kenya for a while. Consulting as well as leading designers on trips out there to source. So one of the products I created was the red beaded love bracelet with the Maasai. And then I was traveling around the world soon after with the bracelet and had an idea on the plane to Russia. Met these two girls, one from Uzbekistan and one from Kyrgyzstan. We just started talking about their countries. And then I was like, hey, I have this idea. I have this one bracelet I had made that says love. You guys tell me what love means. I'll take a photo with my iPhone. When we land at Moscow, I'm going to do this for the rest of the trip. And so that's how the project got started. And after
with one bracelet.
So everyone wore, like hundreds and hundreds of people wore that bracelet around the world, basically for about 2 years.
Crazy.
But after a few months, I created a book with some of my imagery from my trip and all the definitions and pitched it to my old company, American Eagle Outfitters. And they got behind it and launched it in all their stores, creating 400 jobs for the Maasai, $250,000 order. It was huge. And it just happened so quickly from just like a personal photo project to then, a social media campaign. And then with that momentum, we ended up launching also in America with American Eagle in London, and then Colette in Paris, and Whole Foods in the States. So it was just a hashtag. And then I felt like this concept had legs, and if we were able to do this in Kenya, we could grow this and also scale this concept in other countries. So that's when I decided to create a brand out of it, beginning of 2017, and now we've been just growing ever since.
That is insane. That is crazy. So, I mean, did you have any idea that it would become what it is now, or I mean? Was there any inkling at all that it was going to go this big?
I mean, I think, it's the, exponential power of love and how big love can be. And I think that's an inspiration. And I think, how, kind of taken a life of its own, like and all the stories that people share and like, what the bracelet means to them and like how it also helps the communities. I don't know, it just makes me really happy to hear that, this one little bracelet, was able to inspire, launched thousands and thousands of other bracelets. So,
that is amazing. That is incredible. So why did you get it made initially in Kenya? Why the word love? Like, how did that happen?
In Kenya, well, that was where I was being based for a while. And I was working with a few groups, but the Maasai was one of them. And it was the whole idea was trying to create a product that was easy, not too difficult to make, and to be able to scale it. And so, the Maasai really known for beading. And so I was like, we should definitely utilize that. And then I was like, oh, what word would be, love is so, universal. So, so that was the word I ended up going with. So.
And so looking back, did you have any idea that this was going to happen?
I didn't know. I mean, obviously I didn't have a business plan for this when I first started. This is just something like, on the fly, I was inspired and I was like, oh, I want to do something. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. So.
That's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, looking back and because kind of thinking about the journey of all the things you had to get better at in order to make this thing actually work, what would you say that would be?
I definitely, I worked in corporate fashion before the time of like, Facebook ads, and, CRM, and I did concept like R&D. So it was research and development. So it was a different kind of part of the, design process, versus that having, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to do everything and learn everything. So, I had to basically learn everything. And there were a lot of things I did not know in the beginning, and in hindsight, I wish I had known, like, or spent more time doing, like learning, doing Facebook ads, instead of hiring, people and not knowing how to manage them, because it's like, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose probably a lot of money, which we did at that point. And then also like CRM, like our emails, the campaigns and flows, and just learning all that. I mean, it's great. I've learned more than I have in, a long time. And I feel, I have a better sense of just how, like, all the, components, everything, all the moving parts to, create a successful direct-to-consumer company.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's quite a bit different. I mean, like working in corporate and being really good at your job, that's hard. And
Yep.
that's something, right? But then having to know like how all the puzzle pieces fit together and then having to be halfway decent at most of them, right? That's like a totally different thing, isn't it? And so I guess, thinking about just kind of the mechanics and thinking about going from one bracelet to where you are now, paint the picture a little bit. Like, how did you build that team in Kenya? Like, what did that look like? How did you like kind of communicate expectations? Maybe like pull back the curtain a little bit and give us an idea of how you were able to scale after getting such an immense PO and what that looked like.
Yeah, I think it was, supply chain, obviously like we're working with multiple vendors in 10 countries. So it's definitely logistical, can be a logistical situation, especially now with coronavirus. So I lived in Kenya, so I had contacts with different artisan groups, nonprofits managing different groups. So I knew who could do what. Obviously, they would have to learn a new product and get it correct. But once they got that, they would be able to scale that. So that was great. So I had that, like over time, they got more refined at the product and, continues to get better. And that's kind of what we had to do, in each country. It's like I find like different groups through contacts or research. And then, I also look to see their skill set and like what they're good at, making. So it's not like they're having to like reinvent the wheel. So we want to have them do something that they can be, that they're good at already, ideally. And yeah, since I work with groups on the ground that manage the QC, production, packing, shipping. So I can be pretty lean. So, and have them be able to, get what I need. I place the POs and they ship it out to me.
That's incredible. So for someone who is looking to jump ship, right? So you quit your corporate job after 12
Mm-hmm.
years of corporate fashion and
Mm-hmm.
decided to just like start traveling, right? Or you had an idea for the bracelet, right, or something maybe similar. What's your tip to someone who's looking to like completely change course? And maybe you can speak to kind of what went right, but also maybe what didn't go right.
Yeah, I mean, I really do feel like you should do what you're passionate about because love is passion for what you do. And I think I would say if you have a buffer with a job that you can like do stuff on the side while you're working and still have before you're launching, that's always a great thing. But even if not, like I think you can you could definitely make it work. It's I think you need to just plan finances out, make sure you're going to be okay, and then I think don't throw away everything you've learned. Obviously, like whatever you've done, and it's just about evolving what you've learned into the job you want now, your dream job, and also leveraging all the contacts and networks that you have, and to be able to, do what you actually want.
Yeah,
and that's kind of I think that's kind of the key to making a career change.
Yeah, I appreciate you said that because I've just never been an advocate for like, oh yeah, just like jump ship and figure it out as you go. This seems extremely reckless, and especially like you said, if you have a buffer, I like how you put it because we do really have a lot of free time. I don't care how busy you are. Like there's time that you can fit in some sort of side hustle where you can kind of maybe flush some of the details out before just completely pulling the ripcord and going in a different direction.
Yeah, because I think also you're gonna, make mistakes. I made plenty, or like made things where I pivoted in different things, and so where I am now was not where I was when I left corporate. So, but again, like I had the time to explore, and experiment.
Yeah, and do you feel like contacts and connections and leaning on people that maybe had some of the experience that you didn't have, was that also a component of allowing you to accelerate your progress?
Yeah, I think so. I think that and I think I've been able to cultivate a great network of contacts, friends around the world through my travels. I love traveling. I've got it all in that before before now. So I've been able to really tap into that and where I need help in certain places, I reach out and chat with people, and everyone is normally really, really willing and excited to get involved and help.
Yeah, I think it's a huge point too because there aren't a whole lot of new problems, and so whatever it is that you're experiencing in your hustle or your business, whatever it is that your mission that you're chasing, somebody's already like tackled that issue. And so if you can kind of be a student and then being able to just like tap and reach out, somebody has already figured that issue out. And a lot of people are really more than willing to help you out, take you under their wing, or at least give you some advice. And so that's where my mind always goes. It's like, okay, what do I not know about this? And I'll make a list. And then who do I know that either knows how to solve it, or they probably know someone who can help me solve it. It's just like constantly figuring that out. And then that way you're not reinventing the wheel or making a bunch of mistakes that you don't necessarily have to make because somebody's already done that work for you. And so I think that's a huge, kind of a huge tip there. And so, like you said, before we started recording, we got to touch on Corona a little bit. You're in 10 countries. How are you navigating this? Like this has got to be an absolute nightmare.
It's a surprise every day. Yeah. So, I mean, whether it's like country closures or like, groups close, it's like, luckily we have enough inventory in place. Like there's certain places that are delayed or, but everything is going to be okay. And luckily our artisans are, safe. But again, like some of these countries like Kenya, there's major food shortages. Some of these are rural areas or in the slums or, and we were saying like Bali, tourism has dropped, 98%, it's just like dire in lots of places. So, I've been just working on so many different things that like I never thought I was going to be working on actually. So it's like it's so funny. I mean, not funny, but like earlier this month, I got an order. We do tote bags too with a workshop in Java and Bali, and I got an order of someone who wanted like 40,000 masks. I was like, okay, we can do that. And so that's been happening, like like shipping out and taking care of that. And then we've been able to consistently employ this workshop, and they've been doing charity events to give back food to the community. So that's been amazing. So I never thought I was going to be in the mask business. And then just recently, like a week or so, in Kenya, I've been in contact with my artisan groups there. And again, the food issue is major. And again, like it's trying to figure out something sustainable. Because again, it's not just like getting some food and then not having it the following week. So I was inspired by the victory gardens, and then also the proverb or the story in the Bible about Jesus feeding 5,000 people. And I really I sat there. I was like, okay, let's plant gardens, And so I talked to one of my friends, and he is amazing. He's super entrepreneurial, and he is already gotten land in the Kibera and the slums, and now planting all these gardens there,
Wow.
and like home gardens, plus like using, getting land at the church and all, to be able to feed so many more people. And we're rolling this out with the Masai and Gong and Savo and other places. And we're in the midst of getting all that stuff sorted. So that really makes me excited. I never thought I was going to be in farming. Now I am. And the irony is that I don't even know how to garden, but so, yeah. That's so now, like, this is, I feel like it's every week or something, there's always some new project or something that's happening, or someone's reaching out about, oh, can we do this? Or I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we can help out with this. So yeah, So it's not just bracelets now.
I love that. Oh, I love that. So, I was talking with a friend the other day, and I've been thinking about this a lot because there's like so much bad, like the corona, dying off, obviously awful. And then people that are sick, and then like just the industries that are getting crushed, all this stuff is terrible. But there are some good things that can come out of it, right? And so like you're able to experience different environments, specifically farming and making masks and all these things you've never even, 3 months ago, that wasn't even on your radar, right? And so like, and there's a lot of good that can come out of that. Like you can find different aspects of your business or your next passion, your next chapter for the business. Like there's all kinds of things that can come out of it if you can look for those opportunities in order to help people and grow personally and also grow the company. And so I think if we're looking for those things, we can at least find some positivity out of the situation. And really there's some massive growth that can happen, right? I mean, there's things that, you're getting stretched right now in the last 60 to 90 days in ways that you never would have before if it hadn't happened. And so just trying to make lemonade out of the situation. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think, again, it just puts another thought in my head. So it's like, what is sustainability? Again, it's like making sure, your people are taken care of, they have food on the table, and that's not an issue. And if like you can create a sustainable model for that, that's like, you're not having to continue to pour money to like that they can sustain themselves. That's, you're already like, one step out, like there, like,
Mhm.
and I feel like, okay, then it's like figuring out the other, other things, like creating more jobs in the future. But again, with this garden project, we are going to be creating more jobs. So that's
Yeah,
good.
it's
So
huge, right?
yeah.
Love is farming, maybe
Yeah.
too. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a
Love
little
grows.
bit, right? So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about some of the response that you've seen that's been unexpected. Like this book is full of everyone's different interpretation of what love is. What has surprised you?
Oh gosh, there's so many amazing definitions in the book. And I think, you know, whether it's like from the hardship or, love is resilience. There was one quote from a girl from Damascus, Syria, and, love is a choice in the lightest and darkest of times.
Mm,
And I think that's always something to kind of keep in mind, so, because there's a lot of like, fear and anxiety and stress right now. And obviously I it comes in and out of waves, and I just try to breathe through it. And, I just, and just try to focus on like what, I can do as a person. But I feel like everyone, is I feel like collectively, a lot of people are trying to pitch in to help each other. So I think that's really positive. And one of the first definitions from my trip was a girl from northern Siberia, and she said, "Love is proportional to your will," which I've always loved that definition, because again, like the stronger your will, the bigger your love. And Love is Project is true testament to that and how big love can be. And so
mm.
this is that's how I feel I look at the
Love,
project.
love is proportional to your will.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Siberia, as if Siberia wasn't far enough north. I'm in the north. I'm actually really
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. Well, if you want to leave the listener with, before we go to the Reaper round, with a couple of
Mm-hmm.
practical tips
Mm-hmm.
as it pertains to your journey, someone who's trying to live out their mission, what's your advice to them?
Yeah, I think, stay true to yourself, authentic, and what you want to accomplish, and just, keep your friends and family and people who care about you close. And like, I think everyone that, wants to root for you to succeed. And I think it's just, don't ever be afraid to ask for help. I
Mm,
think that's always, as a solo entrepreneur, like sometimes you're kind of like isolated and doing your own thing a lot. So it can be very overwhelming, especially there's so many things to navigate and you don't know how to do something. And again, digital space keeps changing all the time. And now the world is constantly changing, is
yeah.
completely changed. So everyone, is having to pivot and kind of like rethink their model and what they're trying to do. So.
Yeah, I dig it. It's great advice. All right, we're going to switch gears to the Reaper round, where
Yeah.
typically our guest has to answer some rapid fire questions while eating a bag of our Carolina Reaper, but we didn't ship it out. We messed up and it didn't make it to you. And I was going to blame it on the coronavirus and the UPS man, but I can't do that. So I'll blame it on me. So anyway, so you're off the hook for now, but we'll ship you some and you can eat it and record yourself. No, you don't have to do that. You can eat it in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to jump right in. Question number one: favorite book. Could be something you've read in the last year or a classic for you. Could be business related, but it doesn't have to be.
I just recently read The Originals by Adam Grant.
Okay, what'd you like about that?
I just liked it, just like the way it was like how, outside the box thinking, and how, who, why these people, succeed, or why they are such originals and stuff. So it was inspiring for that. So.
Yeah, I love that book. It's been a long time since I've read that, so I'm going to pick that back up. Any quotes you live your life by?
Well, some of the quotes I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And gosh, oh my gosh, rapid fire. Let's see. Oh, I mean, Martin Luther King, hate is too great of a burden to bear. The love quote, basically. So I think that's, I don't know it verbatim, but that's one that I really like.
It's good. Biggest business blunder?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so many. I would definitely say not learning Facebook ads before I launched, or learning how to do that before. But I didn't know that I needed to do that. So.
Did that set you up for success later? I mean, having that initial failure, did it help you learn some things?
Yes, it definitely did. yeah, I wish I had done it sooner though. That was the
Yeah.
only thing.
Yeah. How so, if you want to dive into that a little bit?
I wish I had taken some courses, got a coach or something, just obviously you didn't, I think I was kind of not rushed, but kind of like getting ready to launch. And there was a lot kind of other moving parts. And again, I didn't know how integral, how important it was to the business, that like, I was like, okay, like I'll just outsource this, but not knowing that it really was detrimental to me. So,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things, because I think this is kind of fundamental, I want to touch on a little bit, is owning the marketing, at least in the beginning, is fundamentally important. Because, I mean, without it, like, you live or die by it. And it's one of these things where you really need to have at least some sort of working knowledge to outsource or even to hire somebody internally. Otherwise, you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know if they're doing a good job.
Yep.
You don't know if you're measuring the right things.
Yep.
And then typically, if you go straight to agency, well, they're spread across, you're like one of 20, 50, 100 people. I don't know. And so they're not going to give it the time and attention that you're going to give it. And so you just don't know. And this mistake I've made over and over and over again, whether it's marketing or something else, where it's like, I just want to go straight to outsource. And it is the biggest mistake you can make, because you need to have working knowledge of it. Otherwise, you have no idea. It's like trying to hire a contractor to build a house and you don't know diddly about houses, right? You can't tell the good one from the bad one. They all kind of look the same. They're all going to say the right things for sure. They're going to promise you, the moon, or whatever that phrase is. And so it is critically important.
Yeah.
Best under $100 purchase that's impacted your life most recently.
I'm getting it, I think, next week. I just ordered online. I like to play tennis, but now with the quarantine situation, so I ordered this thing. It caught some tennis skiller where basically you don't need to play with anyone, and it's like a tennis ball, and it like bounces back onto the string, and you just hit it back. So I think I'm really excited for it. It's like $29. So I'm going to be doing that.
Wow.
With it.
That sounds like one of those kid toys that you had, like with a little paddle and the string.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw it and I was like, this looks interesting. I think I want to do this.
It's the introvert's tennis game. I love it.
Exactly. So yeah, that's my new toy.
I dig it. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? Or I'll put it another way, what have you changed your mind about? Something you believe to be false, but not anymore.
I think being open to how everything's changed. I think, the fashion industry continues to change. It's in a totally different place where it was, 8-10 years ago when I left. And I think it was kind of breaking out of that headset where it's like, oh, this can't be done, or like, this is oversaturated, or it's like really, if you really believe in your product or what you want to do, it's like, you can do this. And it's just making sure you're open to learning and open to new ideas. Like the time, once you're like closed off to that, or like think everything, that's when you're going to, to get screwed.
That's when you stop learning.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
no doubt. And what's interesting, because we're recording this during the coronavirus stuff, is I feel like everything has changed again. So all this, even in our business, like the stuff we would have poo-pooed before and said, that's dumb, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think like the weirdest things are working now, because it is like consumer behavior is changing. We're, physically locked in right now. Yeah. And so there's just like so much stuff that's different. And you've got to be open. And one of the things this year, turned 40 this year, and like my mindset, I'm like, okay, what do I need? I got a new decade. What do I need to change? And one of it's that to try to check my knee-jerk reaction. So if my knee-jerk reaction is like, no, that's stupid, or that doesn't work, or I've tried that before, I want to stop and be like, wait, yeah, you did, but maybe it'll work this time. Like, be open to it. Try to like walk all the way around the problem, as my buddy says. So yeah,
and I think it's like being like really nimble and lean, especially now in these times. And luckily, as this startup or small business, like we already are. So like my freelancers, we work from home. I have my fulfillment in LA, but it's not like a ton of overhead. So it's like, and I think it's like really so much about the messaging and what what your supporters and consumers want to hear now. And again, like the message of love resonates, and it's timeless, so I think it's how we let them know what we're doing, and so
so like right now everybody's stuck in their house, so you can send somebody a love bracelet and let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. Right?
Exactly.
Shameless plug. Okay. So what's something a regular follower of your work wouldn't know about you?
Oh, regular...
Somebody who follows your work, follows your business, follows your movement. What would they not know about you?
Not know about me. Just random factoids. I've never had a car in my life.
Really?
I'm getting one this weekend because now I used to travel so much. I lived in New York City for 18 years in the city here, and like rode a scooter in Bali when I was living there. And so I've never had a car. So I'm like 42 now. I'm getting a car now because I actually need to be, in the States more now. So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you're getting this tennis game and a car.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Nice.
I'm a whole new world, whole new Chrissie.
I dig it. All right. Yeah. Last question. What should I have asked you, but I didn't?
A question that you did not ask me yet. Let's see. Where I see myself in 5 years. Okay. I'm hoping to really be able to grow Love Is Project globally more, be able to create more jobs for artisan groups around the world, potentially also launch something in the United States to help create jobs too, and how to continue the message. I don't know. I mean, so much has already happened in the past 3 years since I've launched, and 5 years since it was a concept. I really don't know where it's going, but I'm really hoping that, we can continue to affect, thousands of lives around the world and more. So
I dig it. I love it. And just like being in the mindset where you don't really know where you're going to go, but you know that this is not just it, right? There's a lot more that can happen in the next year, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yeah.
And just being open to that possibility, I think is huge.
Yeah. And I think the thing is too, it's like as a small company too, and like really focus on social impact. Like, I know there's a lot of direct to consumer brands out there. It's so much focused on the profit and growing quickly. And I think, which is fine and all, but I think for what we're trying to do, and especially now in this time and, time that like, I'm happy, like if we have just steady growth and being able to grow, but not go too crazy and be able to live a, good quality of life, be able to help other people, but it's not chasing after like this money, then, being like $100 million company. I mean, not to say like if we were, that's, great, but like, it's not the thing that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the goal,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a nice byproduct, but you're not taking it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you won't turn away $100 million, purchase order.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not gonna happen. But yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, typically I end with your favorite Mission Meats flavor, but you didn't get to try any. So
I know.
We'll
yeah.
send you some.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you like spicy or not spicy? Maybe give.
I like spicy. I like both. I mean, like I could try both and let you know which one I like the best.
Okay. All right. You were really pumped about the Carolina Reaper, so I think you were like excited about the spicy.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So.
Well, Chrissie, this has been great. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. If somebody wants to keep tabs on what you're working on, what's the best way?
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Love Is Project. Our website is loveisproject.co. You can always shoot me an email too, Chrissie, CHRISSIE @loveisproject.co. And I reply to most people. So.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. Chrissie, thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for tuning in. It means so much to me and the entire Mission Meats team. Now, I know every show you watch asks you to do something, right? Asks you to subscribe, leave a review, share the show, all this stuff, right? But it's because it's the best way for us to grow our show. So, what do you say? If you know someone that would really appreciate listening to this episode, hearing the actionable advice, share it with them, will you? Shoot them the link. iTunes, YouTube, however you're watching this thing, tag them in the comments, share the show with someone, okay? It'll help them, it'll help us, it'll be great, okay? We're putting this content out so that viewers and listeners like you have gotten some benefit out of it, right? And so if there's something else that you want to hear about, either about from a person or a topic, shoot me an email, peter@missionmeats.co. That's peter@missionmeats.co. And I'll read those emails and see if I can get that person on the show or an expert in that topic that you want to hear about so desperately, right? Last thing, if you want to try to eat the Reaper, right? We've got a challenge going on social media right now, specifically on Instagram, but you can do it on Facebook too. Record yourself eating that bag, tag it with Mission Reaper, tag us also, right? And for a chance to win $100 of free delicious Mission Meats product for the most hilarious or creative video. So if you want to do that, grab a bag. All right. Now get out there and live your mission. Thanks so much.